So, welcome to the Stables Network. This is Naptown Nation. Take it away, John. I apologize for that. So, welcome to the Stables Network. This is Naptown Nation. Take it away, John.
Why, thank you, Breck. Courtesy of Mancini Stables. Why, thank you, Breck. Courtesy of Mancini Stables. Why, thank you, Breck. Mancini Stables. Well, this is starting off on a interesting way. Welcome to Naptown Nation, all things Indiana, and I'm John Guy.
And I'm Eli Racevich with Gracie the Wiener Dog.
And I'm Peg Palmer,
The siren of Sarasota. Our mascot tonight will be Lou from New Jersey, I'm pretty sure. And we've got an interesting guest tonight. Brian Sutherland, who is an actor and appeared in the TV show Grimm recently. Are you familiar with Grimm, Eli?
I am, and I'm familiar with Brian.
Really?
I've seen several of his things. Yep. When we get him on here, I'm going to ask him about his guest appearance and one of my favorite Sci-Fi Channel shows.
There you
of
go.
The zombies genre, of course.
Well, sure. Zombies. This guy, I'm telling you, Peg.
I'm here. I've never watched Grimm, but I'm interested.
Okay, he's 6 foot tall.
6 foot tall.
Waist is 32. Inseam is 32. Shoe size is 11 and a half.
Ah.
Down here, blue eyes.
Yeah.
Hey, Peggy.
We're checking him out. He's really like 4 feet tall.
No. He's tall.
No. And he's actually been in a whole bunch of stuff. He's been on Broadway.
Cool.
He was in Cats on Broadway.
Wow.
Which is really pretty cool, I think. We want to do a quick shout out to Breck, our beloved producer.
Absolutely.
What kind of phone number are we using tonight, Mr. Breck? He's asleep. All right.
Well, John, I'll give you the one I posted earlier.
Do it.
It's 415-340-4848.
There you go. So, how are things in Indiana, Eli?
Well, it's cold, John. I like to start us off with our sports rundown. There's not much to talk about in a good vein. Lou and I were talking about the Butler game Saturday. That was a disaster.
How was it a disaster?
Butler lost both games badly this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, the formula seems to be. Remember I told Lou, I said 65 Butler can win. Well, unfortunately, both games they lost this weekend. The opponent really came out strong on offense, big lead early in the game. Butler makes it close, but they just can't. They don't have the athletes to play other top 20 teams in a running game, a quick-paced game. And they get back in it on defense, but hard work, unfortunately, in sports only takes you so far if you don't have that physical gift. You can get by with it in high school and small college, but IU got their butts handed to them, except for beating a undermanned Nebraska team. Purdue took it on the chin. Almost all the local schools got whooped.
Marion?
I don't know about the Marion score. I did not check on them this weekend, John.
Right.
Pacers are playing well. They won in Denver for the first time in literally over 10 years. How do you go 10 years in the NBA without winning someplace? That is just unfathomable to me.
It is. It is. Well, Peggy, how are things in Florida?
Well, it's fixing to get cold down here. It's going to get down to 29 degrees tomorrow. So we're getting all the orchids covered and all the plants covered up. It rarely gets this cold. So it's going to be a little, it sounds silly to everybody else in the rest of the country, but it's cold for us.
No, you're right, Peggy. It does.
Yeah.
I know. Especially if you're from Minnesota originally, where everybody's like frozen solid.
It was 9 here Sunday morning.
It was just recently, it was like 35 below, I think, in Minnesota. That's not the wind chill, that's the actual temperature.
Well, I've noticed they've quit going away from calling it wind chill now. They call it the feels like temperature all the time. I'm like, okay. What I really love,
Feels like.
we have to come up with new names for everything. Anything that's, it's why do we keep reinventing the wheel? Why don't we come up with some new solutions to old problems, John? I think that's what the Wednesday night show's about, isn't it? New solutions to old problems instead of
pretty much.
Instead of throwing a Band-Aid on it and saying, yeah, this is great. This is going to work. I know it's been tried 28 times before, but.
You're absolutely correct with the new names. Just as I got used to apocalyptic dust storms, they renamed them haboobs.
That's the weirdest. That's the weirdest name for. Is that what they're called in like the Sahara or something?
I have no idea.
Haboobs.
Well, it's got the coolest name of a weather event. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Which brings us to my story. I have a rabbi living in my driveway.
Oh yeah.
So how's that going?
You see him after sundown on Saturday, John?
I saw him, but he was not working.
Okay.
Yeah, he did the right thing, I guess, but he set up an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting behind the RV in my driveway. He's still living in the RV in said driveway. He just gutted it. He gutted the interior, and he wants to put a 2-person hot tub in the RV in my driveway.
Oh, really?
Oh, it gets worse. So at 7:13 this morning, when normal people are sound asleep, I hear my doorbell. And it's the rabbi who's hungry and wants to come in and make breakfast for everyone.
Oh.
Now, he used to be a chef. And so they're really, really good breakfasts. They involve shrimp and some kind of cream sauce, and I don't know, but it was very nice.
Sounds like a movie plot.
In my driveway.
Maybe Brian can help you out on this, John.
Who could?
Brian, I see a screenplay.
Well, he bought the house next door to me. Or at least Wednesday he is. And so.
Is that Amelia Earhart's house?
right next
Yeah.
door,
Yeah.
he's turning it into a women's veterans transition house. Yeah, whatever. Um, Evidently, we're going to have children next door. Women, children, M16 guns. I have no idea. It's kind of like having a whirling dervish has just landed in your driveway and he's just yelling out orders to people who evidently require Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting this past week, which is kind of odd because I don't drink. Never have. But
Are you going to start?
There I was.
Trying to assimilate. Did you have to make up a story?
Well, we'd run out of gas in the rabbi's Jaguar. We did an AA meeting. We were surrounded by 4 police cars at one point in time. I met an awful lot of evidently former and current alcoholics. And again, he's living in my driveway. Now, he's going to be leaving this weekend because his close personal friend Marion Barber is in Dallas.
Oh,
and
that's good, huh?
And the rabbi has to go down and collect his weapons from Marion's house that are stored there. I don't think any of them are flamethrowers, but I think there's a grenade launcher in there. Because our rabbi happens to be retired U.S. Army 101st Airborne. So I've got a military rabbi living in my driveway. And all I can think is, oh yeah. You know those sheds that you can buy that look like little tiny houses?
Yeah.
He bought
Yeah.
4 of those today.
4 of them? Where's he going to put those?
He put 2 of them in my name. So
2 in your name?
what? Yeah.
Huh.
So he's dropped about 40 grand in those little tiny shed houses kind of thing, which reminds me, I do want to say this. Weather King portable buildings, I think they should be our very first sponsor here on Naptown Nation. Because that's who we bought the 4 buildings from. I think it was 4. May have been 5. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that can't be cheap.
Dervish.
Huh.
But,
So you don't
what?
you don't have like any sort of a planning board or whatever that he has to get approval from, or is it just like the Wild West there?
Yeah, you have an HOA, John?
Much like the Wild West. I got to spend the afternoon with Robin Keeling, the sales lady for Weather King Portable Buildings. And she was, she said that it was one of the strangest sales meetings that she had ever had.
Huh.
Hey, Eli,
Yes, sir.
give me that number one more time, please.
You mean 415-340-4848?
415-430.
Oh, maybe my stroke kicked in. It's 415-340-4848.
Oh, it's 340-4848. Nice. I'm sending this off to Brian, which should be entertaining. But I digress. So there I am. And yeah, he bought four or five little buildings today.
So they were like
going to
10
own my next door house.
Huh. You're gonna have a colony.
Oh yeah, John. Yeah.
Well, and this is one of his favorite phrases. Jesus cured 10 lepers. How many came back to thank him? The correct answer is 1. Only 1 out of 10 lepers. So he keeps using this, and I'm kind of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have female lepers living next door to me with little leper children.
Leper kids.
Leprechauns.
That's right. Except you're going to have leper kids.
They can all wear pointy
hats.
Oh,
John, I got to interrupt. I just had a vision and Grandpa and me kicked in. You can really emphasize, got your nose and stick it between your.
Oh, no. Oh.
Hey, we need to talk about Brian Sutherland here because he's going to be joining us momentarily. Besides that 32-inch inseam and 11.5 size shoes, Brian has actually been in movies, TV shows, Broadway productions. He's been in about 4 Broadway productions. And, you know, here's the amazing thing. There are a lot of Brian Sutherlands out there in the world. I thought I was going to get the world's worst boxer, who is also named Brian Sutherland, but no, I got an actor. Go figure. So, do we have him on yet, Breck? Evidently not yet, but I've given him the number and he's got it. So he's going to be calling in. Where's Lou, by the way, Eli?
I don't know. I was hoping that he would call in, fill us in on, give his opinion on that St. John Butler game.
Yeah. How much did Butler lose by?
It was less than 10.
Okay.
Right now, I've had a good night of basketball. Though. I watched West Virginia put Texas down by 40 plus, and now I'm watching the Celtics put the Lakers down by almost 30.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the third quarter, and Celtics already have 100.
Ooh.
Hi, John. We have a guest on the line.
We do, and I bet it is Brian Sutherland, acclaimed actor.
Acclaimed. Yes, it's official. How you guys doing?
We are doing great, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Well, thanks for having me on. Hi, how's it going?
Eli has actually seen many of your movies.
I have.
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Name one.
Of course, I have a brain fart. The serial killer Western.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Dead West.
Yeah,
Dead West. I want to see that. That just came out.
One of the most fun series sci-fi ever put on was Z Nation. And you were probably in the best episode of that ever made. Resurrection.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it was the high. It turned.
How do you like that haircut?
It turned that series. I think people took it a lot more to heart after that because it was on the teeter-totter, but that was certainly the best episode of that season and maybe the whole series. And it was really good.
Well, thank you. It was a fantastic time. I remember reading that script for the first time and coming to that ending. And if no spoilers, but I kill off one of the main characters. So yeah, it was when that show really took a turn and people started taking it more seriously.
Yep.
But yeah, I had a blast on that one. It's very strange. I most of the films I do I'm either like a serial killer or a nerd. So I play a lot of very strange roles. But with Z Nation, you're hanging out for 16 hours a day with people that are dressed up as zombies, but you're talking about politics on your lunch break with somebody who has an eyeball hanging down to their cheek. So it's very strange. You go and throw away your coffee cup, and there's severed arms and feet and all the body parts they're not using anymore. So
Now
it gives you some good dreams at night.
A TV series, what, Glitch?
Yeah, we did. We did
And that was
Glitch.
very
It was a web series.
Yeah.
It's if we ever remember playing video games in the 80s, you'd have these massive glitches. So it was about a video game tester who makes a wish that life was more like a video game, but instead of the success of that, he gets nothing but glitches. So he gets his arms stuck in walls. Things kind of malfunction on him. So yeah, it was a really fun show. I think we got best web series of 2017 or something in Las Vegas. And
Excellent.
yeah, there was, and that's just something like there was never ending jokes because we'd all kind of been there from being children of the 80s and playing Nintendo and blowing into the cartridges.
Yeah. Now you're a producer, a writer, a casting director. You're everything.
I decided to make my living in Portland, Oregon. I have an acting company in Las Vegas or in Los Angeles. But I don't really want to deal with that hustle and bustle. So a lot of the stuff I do is I produce and I write and I direct and I make my own movies and get them out there to Netflix and Amazon. And I've done some bigger stuff, but that's kind of the way to do it. But in order to make a living, you really have to kind of wear many hats.
Yes. And you've been on Broadway multiple times.
So I wish I could say that. I've done off Broadway, but it's really funny because there's a couple Brian Sutherlands that are out there, and one is a Broadway actor. And I've met him before because every once in a while somebody will call my agent and get us mixed up. And he's strictly theater because I got a call to do, I forget what the show was, and I was like, oh my God, I'd be honored. And I was like, oh, I bet they're talking about the other Brian. So it's like he has the same thing. He'll get directors call him and go, hey, I'm looking at you to star in this movie, and he'll get all excited and realize they're talking about me. So somebody needs to put in a middle name or maybe add a number at the end of it. But the other Brian Sutherland, and I think you guys contacted me about this, is considered the worst boxer in the world. Do you guys know about this guy?
Correct.
That's John's boy.
Yeah.
That's my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you ever met him?
No, I haven't gotten him. I did get a 3'2" guy who tried out for the Dallas Cowboys.
When was that?
If you look him up, he is the shortest guy ever to play pro baseball. He played for the St. Paul Saints in the outfield with Darryl Strawberry. And Darryl gave him the nickname Stud. But Dave Stevens went and tried out as a nose tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. He played baseball, football, and wrestling all through college.
Wow.
He was born without legs, and gets a lot of base on balls.
Yeah.
But he doesn't steal much, huh?
No, he doesn't steal much.
I had to throw something in there.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm the smart ass of the group, so.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he's an inspirational speaker to disabled kids who want to be athletes. But and he's played at Lambeau Field at halftime of a Packers game.
Well, he's already a saint then.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like, wow. Then I interviewed the last owner of the Indianapolis Clowns Negro League barnstorming baseball team.
Oh my
That was one
God!
of the
What are they
best.
called?
The Indianapolis Clowns.
Oh my God, that's great.
No, they were one of the best teams there were, though. They could have taken out some
Hank
major
Aaron.
league teams.
Hank Aaron started with the
Yeah.
Indianapolis Clowns.
mean, they
Really
were really
weird. I'm a
good.
clown teacher, so I love
Hank Aaron was a shortstop for the Clowns, and then got
That's
sold
fantastic.
to the Braves. But this guy, basically, the Clowns were a Harlem Globetrotters kind of traveling team. This guy pitched on crutches,
Wow.
and he was the most valuable pitcher in Sweden one year, which is where he met his wife, pitching on crutches.
Wow, man,
His name
that's
is
some fascinating
Dave
stories
Clark.
out there.
Yeah, oh, I got the weird ones. Trust me.
Yes.
Yeah.
John knows all about weird.
I know weird. So,
The
Well, I think
Wizard
you-
of Weird.
I think you reached out to me because you're like, "Are you a boxer turned actor?" And I was like, "No, but I know exactly who you're talking about."
yeah,
And that video, I mean, I don't know where that guy is now, but it's. I've even had people reach out and be like, "Do you want to make a movie about that guy?" Because he has this mullet and this handlebar mustache, and he's trying to slap instead of box, and he gets knocked out within maybe 40 seconds, and it's just this classical TKO.
oh yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen the video probably 100 times. Sometimes I wish I was him. I'd love to play him in a movie. There's a lot of, some Rocky montage of that guy training to do this fight.
What are your favorite sports?
I went to the University of Oregon, so I'm a big Ducks fan. So basic, probably college football is what I watched the most. So it was really nice seeing the Ducks get so far this year. I played baseball for about 16 years, just kind of all through high school.
Okay.
But yeah, college basketball, I'd say, and rooting for the Ducks, and college football as well.
I went and saw Oregon play this season against
Nice.
Arizona State,
Nice.
and
It's
Arizona ASU won. I was a guest of the most interesting man in baseball, Lenny Randall.
okay.
Lenny Randall was named by Rolling Stone magazine the most interesting man ever in baseball.
Why is that?
Well, he used to play with the Cubs, and then when the game was over, he'd go and do stand up with John Belushi.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, he would do it with John and Jim Belushi. He lives on the Italian Riviera, basically, and has his own private jet. Knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to get me to go to San Diego to look up with him. He was going to send Arnold Schwarzenegger's limo to pick me up in Phoenix, Arizona. He goes on vacation with Michael Jordan. How's that?
That works.
They go up to Idaho, and evidently Michael puts on a baseball cap, sunglasses, and nobody bugs them when you're out in the woods of Idaho. But yep, Lenny's he's certifiable. All of my friends. I mean, I have a rabbi living in my driveway.
I did a movie last year called The Last Pitch, and I think it's floating around on YouTube somewhere. And I played a guy who this really nervous nerd who saves a kid at a baseball game from choking on a hot dog, and he gets kind of yeah. You saw that, Jim Dark, yeah. The civilian. So he's never thrown a ball before, so he's terrified as he's honored to throw the first pitch. And at the end of the movie, he finally builds up the courage to throw the first pitch at a ball game, and he loses control and hits the kid in the head that he saved and kills him.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, that
It's
isn't that
It's-
your
it-
picture on?
yeah.
Okay, and yet they do not list you as a star. What's
I
up
know.
with that?
It's IMDb is weird. They throw names around all over the place.
I
But
guess so.
There was a story about a guy who, because IMDb, the International Movie Database, has you're ranked from like number one is Tom Cruise, best actor in the world kind of thing, and it goes up to about 5 million. So actors are always trying to get their IMDb rating really low, because the lower you are, kind of shows that you're a good actor. Most A-listers are under 10,000. But somehow a movie extra hacked the system and got down to like number one. So he started getting all these phone calls, but people realized it was kind of a glitch. But for about 2 days, this guy was world famous, and he had never done anything but been an extra in a movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like the Rocky of IMDb.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So that's.
Well, this looks interesting. I will have to watch it, Brian.
Which one? The first pitch?
Yes.
Yeah, check it out. Sports fans, you'll like it. You will have to see
Hey.
my bare butt. I do put on a jack strap, and you will see my full butt.
Peggy.
Peggy's interested. Peggy's
Yeah,
Googling
okay,
it
I'm
now.
Watch that, Peggy.
you'll
You'll
get it.
ratings. Here,
I'll sign the
I'll be
autograph.
checking it out.
Yeah, it works. So, but it's
Have
funny
you ever
because it's
been
like,
to
yeah,
Indiana?
I just produced a movie called One Dead Dog, and I started it. It was me and Mark Patton. Mark was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, considered the gayest horror film of all time. They just released a documentary about it. But Mark and I starred in this movie about two serial killers that go to bury their dog in Black Butte Mountain and find a female squatter who's also a serial killer staying in their house. And it's kind of this love triangle between three serial killers. But it's every single time I release a movie, my mom's just like, when are you going to do a romantic comedy and stop playing serial killer? And it's strange because I teach kids for a living. So I have a couple different acting studios, but my main thing I work for a company called the Celebrity Experience down in Los Angeles. And we travel around the world with people from like Adrian Armante, who was on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and people, Jonathan Goldstein, who was on Drake and Josh, who was the dad. So pretty, actors that have had like major roles for 5-6 seasons on these TV shows. So when we show up to tour, people are so excited to see these Nickelodeon stars, and then they see me and they're like, what have you been in? They watch like every movie I've done where I play a serial killer. And then I'm teaching their children. I'm like, don't watch my movies if you're an 8-year-old, because there's a lot of murder.
Eli,
Wow.
Sir.
Eli, you have to agree that Brian would be number one if he ever went to West Virginia.
Oh, absolutely. If he says he's going to go to West Virginia, I would go every day on IMDb and vote him as my favorite actor.
Does West Virginia have an acting scene?
Only with your cousins.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. I'll start getting some fans over there.
Well,
Yeah.
I lived in West Virginia. Eli was born in West Virginia. And so we trade hillbilly stories.
Yes.
But Eli will tell you about Mothman as an example. There are a lot of good films that should be made about Southern West Virginia. Don't you agree,
Yeah.
Eli?
Oh, a lot of good low budget horror movies could come out of that state. Matter of fact, I've been putting a list together. I'm calling it my West Virginia Terror Tour. I'm going to take my sons on, and we're going to go to all these spots where alleged monsters reside in West Virginia.
Oh, that's great. That's a movie right in itself.
That's
It's
right.
a very long list. My
Yeah,
dad,
it's,
a couple of my family members have claimed to see 2 of them. And
which one?
so I have a little insight. There's this giant black cat that lives in over by Pageton, John. I don't know if you know where that's at. And my dad, who policeman in West Virginia got a call about a disturbance out in the woods. And my dad was quite the accomplished hunter. He's a state champion coon hunter. And he and a deputy went out there looking for it. And Dad's excellent tracker. His dogs are tracking it. And it circled back on him and got behind him. And Dad said when they turned the lights back, they could see its eyes glow red. And it screamed like a woman and was supposedly some kind of giant black panther. And then it turned and ran into the woods. And my Uncle Lewis, I can't remember what they call this thing now. There's this floating white orb of light that lures miners to their death in the coal mines. My Uncle Lewis and another miner saw it. And, I'm sure it's just some kind of gas that's ignited. But, yeah, so I've got family, not to mention my grandmother Fuller's house. I don't know if anybody believes in a supernatural in this group or not. But if there's a house that's haunted and has very evil things I wish I was on video, my hair standing up on my arms. This place was like the gateway to hell. It made Amityville Horror House look like McDonald's Funland.
Oh man,
I hated that house. So I'm going to include all that.
I shot a movie in where was it? It's a Neely Mansion. It's in Washington somewhere. It's this old house, this railroad house from like the 1700s. And I was playing Neely, Aaron Neely, who built the house. And I usually with my roles, I kind of known to get pretty method. So I decided after we filmed all day to sleep in the antique bed. So the crew left and they're like, "Are you serious? There's no electricity, And I was just like, "Oh, I'll light a candle." And I swear to God, in the middle of the night, I hear his children laughing and playing downstairs and him yelling at them. And the entire family was haunting that house. And I was just laying there in bed.
Yeah. Someday, John, maybe in October, we'll do a Eli's Haunted House show. And we'll go to my grandma's house.
Absolutely.
So how many years did you have to work before you got your first screen credit? How many years did you pour into it?
I landed, I never even wanted to. I wanted to be an actor, but I really just fell into it. When I started, I did theater for a while, and I kind of fell into that. I was in love with a girl, and I, as the story goes, tried to do a play, and I just, she was in a musical, and I tried to sing a song from Les Mis, and just forgot my lines and ran off stage crying. And I was like 20. I was in college. But then the next day I realized I was like the only straight actor that had auditioned. And so I got a part. And so I ran to where I'd done some theater in like third grade. And I was like, I walked in and he's like, "Can you sing?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, you're in a show." And I ran home and I was like, "Mom, I'm in Swanee Dodd. I think it's a musical." And she's like, "You mean you're in Sweeney Todd? It's a musical." I was like, "Yeah." I had no idea. So before I knew it, in one day I was in 2 big musical touring companies, and that just led to more jobs and more jobs. And then my friend was shooting a movie. He's like, "I need you to be an extra." So I was a host, but every single time I just started kind of doing weird things while I was on set. And finally the director was like, "Who's that guy?" And he's like, "Why is he doing that? But that's hilarious." So he ended up writing me a part in this movie. And then that just kind of led to bigger and bigger things. And the kind of breakout that I had was a movie called Ghostlight, actually about haunted houses. It's in Everett, Washington. The Everett Historical Theater is considered top 10 most haunted theaters in the country, I believe. I think there's been like 7 people that have died there. So we shot a movie about a guy who would get $10,000 if he could last one night in this theater, and then shenanigans happen. It's called Ghostlight. It's actually getting re-released next month out on like Netflix and Amazon and all those fun venues. But Ghostlight. It's a pretty good film. We shot it like 8 years ago. But I just got a phone call, and they were just about to shoot, and one of my friends was playing the lead, and he ended up not being able to. I think he was getting married, and he realized he just didn't have time to do the movie, and he just gave me the role. So I met with the director, and then that ended up being the director of Dead West. And then we just did a movie with Jeffrey Combs. Do you guys know Jeffrey Combs?
Oh wow, the Reanimator! Holy cow.
Reanimator. Yeah, so Jeffrey and I just shot a movie called Holiday Hell. It's it's kind of an anthology of 4 short horror segments that Jeffrey kind of narrates throughout the whole thing. So he just won Best Actor in the movie in the Seattle Film Festival last week.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
Oh,
and
cool.
Frighteners, I'd been a fan of him forever. So it was to be able to share the screen with somebody like that was fantastic. But it's like you meet these actors. I mean, it's like I said, I just kind of fell into this. Last month I shot a movie with Nicolas Cage, and I mean that's my childhood right there of Raising Arizona, Serendipity, and
Mhm.
I was
Right.
so we have a movie. Talk about backwoods hillbillies. The movie's called Pig, and it should be released next month. It's about truffle pigs, like pigs that you actually have to go get truffle mushrooms. Do you guys know about that?
No.
Truffle
Oh,
mushrooms
truffle mushrooms.
Yeah, so there's truffle
Mhm.
pigs that sniff out these mushrooms because the mushrooms right now you can sell them for I think like $300-400 an ounce or something like that.
Wow.
So he plays a guy who lives in the woods with this truffle pig, and some meth addicts break into his campsite and steal his pig. Sounds like a Nicolas Cage movie. So he goes on this mad kind of hunt to get his pig back. So a lot of quirky characters, and I'm just about to shoot my scene, and Nick's not there, and I get this tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and he has this huge beard. He's like 6'5", and he's just covered in blood. And he's like, "I'm Nick. Let's do this." Like I've never been more nervous in my life, but he was a great guy.
I bet.
It was so one of those monumental moments where I'm like, wow, I've made it.
Was also in it.
Say what?
Yeah.
Adam Arkin was also
I just saw
in
that, John.
Yeah.
it. Huh.
And what's funny is Adam's granddaughter, Molly Arkin, was in my improv group for 8 years. And she kept saying, she's like, my grandpa should come coach us. And I was like, well, who's your grandpa? And he's like, Alan. And it was 8 years later that I realized she was talking about Alan Arkin.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I was like, that means your dad's gone.
He's pretty good, yeah. He was pretty good.
Yeah. Brian, are you a millionaire yet?
I am not a millionaire.
And you don't live in Beverly Hills.
Nope.
You're sort of a Portlandia kind of guy.
I am.
And there's no big star on Hollywood Boulevard yet, right?
Not yet for me. They're saving it. Okay.
Here's my question. What do you have to do to get a Hollywood star?
What's crazy is there's actors that have been around for 30 years that are just getting there. So I think you just gotta get the word out and be be a name. Everyone has to kind of know who you are. And
it does seem uneven because I'm a horror movie fan. Lon Chaney Jr. doesn't have one. How can he not have one?
Right. Exactly.
The Wolfman doesn't have one.
Yeah. But then there's some actors that do that. You're like, how do you have a star?
Yeah, you have to Google them to see who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a weird world. I mean, I was just teaching in LA. I was staying like right around the Chinese Theater, so I was right on Hollywood Boulevard for 3 weeks teaching with the Celebrity Experience. There's another singing program that we do called Vocal Star, where we, it's really cool. We have kids on TV around the world. But people have this, even the fact that the company's called the Celebrity Experience, like people think we're celebrities, and I don't even know what that word means. I mean, I get it, but it's to me, it's just all about the work. I mean, I'm an actor because I have to be, because I just, my wife calls acting my first wife. That's how kind of obsessed I am with it. So,
okay.
But it's to give the opportunity to these kids and give them more confidence, and then every once in a while, I mean. Did you see the It movie, the first one, the new remake?
Yes.
The kid who plays the kid who gets his arms ripped off right in the beginning, who's the little brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of my students. His name's Jackson.
Oh, no kidding.
And yeah, so I taught him. He went through our acting school, and then it was like one of his first auditions. He booked it, and that was when he's like, "You'll float too, and he just nailed it. So we have kids. I have a student, Noel, that just did the what's that Western that's on HBO? I can't think of it, but yeah. So she just booked that. So it's really cool to, give these kids these opportunities. But the one thing I tell them, I was like, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the fame. Don't worry. I mean, you do it because it's art, and we're just trying to elevate the world of art. I mean, of acting. I think actors are super lazy as far as all artists go, and it might come back to bite me. But when I started, I realized that I was going to train as an athlete. I was going to treat acting like it was a sport. I was going to shoot hoops every day. I mean, so instead of acting books, my parents got me like Larry Bird's autobiography and all these athletes. And I think that really helped, make it so I worked really hard, and trained, to be the best I could at this, just like an athlete. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Your commercial for the Washington State Lottery.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
smokes, that was good.
The jousting one?
Yes.
That was a fantastic experience. That was the most expensive lottery commercial ever made, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
And you've also done Pepsi?
I did, yeah. I made that the Pepsi Ants commercial. We actually made that with a crew of only 2 people and sold it to Pepsi. And it became a huge, yeah. So we wrote that. We did all the special effects. We shot it. We just had a camera on tripod, and then the director and writer and special effects artist was an actor in the scene. And then he made these CGI ants that come and shake up the Pepsi, and it explodes in my face. But yeah, so that was it was like a Pepsi competition. We got first place in the world. They flew us to Barcelona. I think it was like a $10,000 or $20,000 check. And ended up having a huge run with that. So I think it's still playing in Brazil somewhere.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you
that's
have
a cool
family,
story,
Brian?
I do, yeah. I have a 10-year-old daughter named Rhythm, and my wife Sarah. So we've been together for going on 13 years.
All right, I got to be a smartass again, Brian. Are you Catholic?
Go for it. Am I
Are you Catholic?
No.
Yeah. I just wondered, since you had a daughter named Rhythm.
I know. No, I'm just a hippie.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the old school Catholic just left. I heard her.
Well, that's the weirdest thing is, like, at my daughter's school, nobody actually has any kind of like old school names anymore. There's no Mikes or Brians or Jameses. It's all Cedars and Lunas and Rhythms. And so maybe it's a Portland thing, but you'd be amazed about the amount of strange names I've heard.
My my great grandson's going to be named Prince next month when he's born.
You say Prince?
Yes.
Nice. There you go.
And he better be talented. Is all I gotta say. Because if not, he's gonna be in a fight on the playground all the time. Or Brian, the thing is, if I'd wanted to be an actor, I would have had to been a heavy with my name. My name's Eli Racevich. Now, when you hear that name, you think Eastern European heavy gangster.
Yeah. That's it. Those are fun roles, though.
Oh yeah, and my father is from Serbia, so I've got the in on the mannerisms.
Yeah.
Brian, you did a commercial for the Deadliest Catch.
I did, yeah.
Did you play a crab or what?
Yeah, I was just a human crab. I was one of the shipmates. I guess that's what you call them. The funny story about that. So it was before. I've just been an actor for going on nine years now. But at the time, I was in Seattle and I was working at the sandwich shop, and I was trying to, make it as a full-time actor, but I had to have a day job. And so I get this call from my agent that they just offered me to do this commercial, but I had to go out on the ship the next day. So I called in sick and told my boss I was deathly ill, and I went to do this Deadliest Catch commercial. We're shooting all day and we break for lunch, and no shit, who should cater the commercial is my sandwich company.
No.
I'm
Oh,
sitting there, and my boss rolls up on the ship. He was all by himself and had to make 80 sandwiches. And he
Oh.
sees me, and he goes, "This is yours. You're fired." It was, to this day, he was a good friend of mine, but he's like, I tell that story to everybody, but I'm like, what are out of all the restaurants,
Oh.
they were the ones catering it. So I think that was one of my last day jobs.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us tonight, Brian.
Yes.
Thanks
it's
for
been
having
very
me. It's been a
entertaining.
pleasure.
Very
It has
entertaining.
been fun, and we will stay in touch. And if
Please
you
do.
ever get the desire to go to West Virginia, Eli
Yes.
and I, we will we'll show you the sights. Oh yeah.
Give me the tour.
Hey, Brian, a quick
Sounds good.
question. Do you ever
Yes,
do the
sir.
convention circuit? You ever do the horror convention circuit thing?
I don't do the horror. I've done like Emerald City Comic Con. I do more of like,
Okay.
I used to have a superhero show that was pretty funny called The Collectibles. So every once in a while I will with One Dead Dog. It's that'll probably be coming out in like a month or two. I'll be hitting the horror festivals and the horror
Excellent.
circuits.
I'll keep an
And
eye
with
out
Holiday
for you 'cause
Hell.
I like to attend them.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and if you're at one, let me know. I'll let you know where I'm at. But
All right.
in the next month or two, I think I have 4 different horror movies coming out. So I'll definitely be doing some sort of circuits.
Excellent.
Wow.
Sounds good. Well, guys, thanks for
Exciting.
having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Thanks,
You have a
Brian.
great night. Cheers.
You too.
All righty. That's again a weird Naptown Nation. Huh.
Hey, that gave us a air of authentication there, John. We actually had
Yeah.
a real prominent guest.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And he almost dwarfs the rabbi in my driveway, who is doing a AA meeting, I think, tonight, and will get home late and probably wake me up again.
But he
With-
can cook, so that'll be good.
But he
At least you
cooks.
get something to eat out of it,
Oh
John.
my God, we had something for lunch, and it involved shrimp and a cream sauce and ravioli.
Oh, ravioli.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I only had to go to the emergency room once this past week for my blood sugar, and they didn't do a damn thing for me except give me a prescription for a bladder infection that I did not know I had. And that'll cost me about $2,000. Way.
Ah,
We want to thank everyone for listening in. Probably at a later date. We probably don't have as many listeners as we think we do, but thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you again next Monday on Naptown Nation. I'm John Guy.
And I'm Eli Racevich with Gracie the Wiener Dog.
and I'm Peg Palmer. Thanks for joining us.